Willie D Live.
But I know a lot of people always asking, how come you're not bigger? Why? You're one of the best to do it. Like, it's easy to see. Just a few minutes, you can see this guy he got it. Name whoever else is out there doing it big right there, and this guy right here, he can stand on that stage and hold his own against anybody out there. So it's one thing when the fans said, because, hey, we just laymen, we just fans, we just,
Yeah.
But I ain't no regular layman. I'm a connoisseur.
Right.
I'm a comedian. I'm a comic connoisseur, man.
Yes.
I know this shit.
Yes,
but for others, so it's one thing when we the fans give you your props.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a whole nother thing when your contemporaries give you your props and they have action. And they say, God, man, I love you, act. Man, I love it when you did this, man. I love it. Well, put me in a motherfucking movie then. No. You know what I'm saying? Why? Do you ever be wanting to say something like that?
Yeah.
Like, you like me that much?
I'm like this. If you have the power to do it, then do it. If you got a production company, why can't I come and pitch something to you? I'm talking about pitch something, not necessarily that you're going to accept it, but why can't you have your door open for a comic to go, hey, man, you have a production company. Can I pitch something to you? That's what should happen. And I'm telling you, these white boys do this shit all the time. I'm like, oh, that was dope. I go, okay, cool. I heard you got a production company. I would like to create something on my own. This is not me. You owing me something. This is me coming to you, which would benefit you if it works out. If it don't work out, I'll go back and do something else. And can you leave your door open for me if I have another? Sure. That's how it should work. Because nobody really owes you anything, but you didn't get there on your own either.
Right.
Bill Cosby, I'm sorry to bring that up, but it's almost like a bad word to say Cosby, but Bill Cosby got in because of a man named I forgot his name now. But there was a man who was a producer of the Dick Van Dyke Show, okay? And Cosby, back in the 60s, they didn't allow black people on this or that. Cosby broke those barriers for stand-up comics. Richard Pryor was influenced by Bill Cosby. People got to recognize that shit. Pryor wanted to be Bill Cosby. And Cosby, it was a man I forgot his name, but he was an actor. And he saw Cosby and said, I want Cosby to be on I Spy. I think this guy he has what it takes. And they were very reluctant. It was with Robert Culp. Robert Culp, who was remember Greatest American Hero? Believe it or not. Mm-hmm. He was the old dude in that. He and Bill Cosby took a chance on Bill Cosby to be on I Spy in the 60s. So someone helped Cosby. When you look at Cosby, you think he must have done it by himself. Hell no, he didn't.
Ain't nobody.
Nobody, but some people act like they did it on their own. You just had Tony Rock. Tony Rock was on somebody's podcast.
Another super dope dude.
Another funny dope. Ass. That's dope. My man. $100,000. Yeah. Another consistently
and solid.
Him being under his brother's thing. He's established himself. He doesn't sound like his brother. He's a whole different type of guy. And I was feeling what he was saying. He goes, there was a movie my brother had and he didn't put me in it. One thing I give credit to the Wayans, they put their family in their shit.
But it wasn't just that, Godfrey. He said that he had stopped at a comedy store
tell him
in New York. He was just coming through, and he stopped at the Comedy Store.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he said the Comedy Cellar, but it was one of those comedy clubs. Mm-hmm. That's your spot, Comedy Cellar, right?
Comedy Cellar,
yeah,
New York City, baby.
Yeah. So that's where you do your residency at.
Yes.
Okay. So, but he said he stopped at a comedy spot in New York, and Chris was there with some other comedians.
Yeah.
And Chris saw him and was like, yo, man, I got a spot. I got something for you, man.
Yeah.
This new movie that I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then he said, next thing you know, he ain't heard nothing. Months go by, he hadn't heard nothing. Then next thing you know, people on the set call him, say, where you at? And he's like, what do you mean where I'm at?
Can I tell you?
Yeah, we over here filming.
You know what the movie was? It was called Top 5.
Yeah, Top 5, right.
Can I tell you about Top 5? So I'm at the Comedy Cellar. I'm sitting with my friend. He's like, it's Truck Hudson. Was it Truck Hudson? Another comic, because I think he was there. Yeah, he was there. You know how sometimes you never remember who was there? This guy, Truck Hudson. and I'm at the table. It's a place called the Olive Tree because the Comedy Cellar, the original Comedy Cellar, because there's two now, has a restaurant at the top, and at the bottom you do comedy. So I'm at this table. Chris Rock walks in, and it's just me and this dude, and there's nobody else around. Chris goes, "Hey, what's going on?" Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Oh, what's up, Chris?" Blah, blah. He goes, "I got this movie." I said, "Oh, word? Yeah, so I got a movie. If you, I got some parts. He said he had some parts. I go, "Oh, word? So are you telling me that you're gonna put me in it?" I was like, why are you telling me? And he goes, "Yeah, you just call my." He said to Facebook something. He couldn't get his number or nothing. He get Facebook or some shit. He said. I said, "All right, okay." He approached me. I said, "You saw this, right?" He approached me to talk about a movie, unless he was bragging about it. I go, "Okay." So I try to go through the procedures to hear about this movie. And I leave a message for his or whoever producer. "Hey, Chris Rock just told me about a film. He said there's some smaller parts coming or whatever." Because I know Cedric the Entertainer was in it, some other people. So I hear about this movie. Then my agents bring up this movie some weeks later. "Hey, there's a movie. Chris Rock got a movie. It's called Top 5. I go, "Oh, he told me about that. He said that he might have a part for me." "He did, huh?" "Yeah, I haven't heard anything." And then there's a table read. I go, "Oh, can you help? They want you to do the table read for Top 5. I said, "Really? I guess maybe I'm reading for my part." This is what I'm thinking. And the guy that asked me to read was a guy named Tony Hernandez who was producing on that. But I did it as a favor for Tony Hernandez because he was producing the Louis C.K. show. Because Louis C.K. put me on his show. I did 2 episodes of Louis C.K. show without auditioning because Louis fucks with me. In a weird way, Louis fucks with me. And I got on the Chris Rock show when Chris Rock had that show on HBO. Mm-hmm. I did sketches on there because Louis C.K. put me on there. It wasn't Chris Rock that did. It was Louis C.K. Because he was one of the that put me on there. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Louis C.K. is Mexican too. He's Mexican and white. So in his first language was Spanish, just to let you know that. But yeah, Louis C.K. put me on. So then, and Louis was so great. Louis goes, "Godfrey, you can make anything funny, man. That's why I picked you." And I go, "Wow, that's great. Thank you. I don't get that very often." And my episodes were great. He hooked me up. And so I do the table read. It's me, Rosario Dawson, Chris Rock is there. It's some other actors there. I'm sitting next to the producer, Scott Rudin, very big movie producer. And I'm reading for Cedric the Entertainer's part. I'm reading for everybody else's part, but I don't even know if I have a part. Right. I did it for Tony Hernandez as a favor. And I read 5 different parts. I killed in that room. I was switching my voice up, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. Chris didn't say anything to me. Everybody walked out the room. He said nothing to me. And I was just like, and the movie was shot. He told me about it. I never got in it. That's why when Tony was talking about it, I go, "Wow, that's funny," because he did that to me. And you're his brother. Wow. Yeah. It was a little like, ugh. But, I mean, I was a little disappointed. I've always been a Chris Rock fan. Always respected his comedy game the whole night. But I didn't like that shit. I thought that was, I'm all about manhood shit, man. Just like you. I'm about my boy Dante Nero, who does a really great podcast called Man School 202. He's fantastic. Him, my boy Ruben Paul in L.A., there's certain guys that I hang with that we're just honest and we're about manhood. We're doing man shit. We don't fuck around. We don't do this like iffy shit. If something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If not, it's not happening. Cool. Like, why would you do that? I just, you know what I mean? It's your movie and you're telling me I'm minding my business and you tell me, "Hey man, I got this film." I go, "Oh, cool." And that shit, it hurts you a little bit. Like, damn, I would have liked to have been in that movie. That, if I would have auditioned and didn't get it, that's cool. I didn't get it. Not a big deal. But that was like, you came to me. The source came to me.
Brought the opportunity.
And I was like, should I go for it? Okay, let me go. And then I go and read your script for you. And I put my time in to read the script. It's no different than being rejected. I got rejected. They say, "Why aren't you on SNL?" Well, I got rejected 3 times in SNL. The first time I did an audition for SNL was like, it was me, it was Tracy Morgan, Jimmy Fallon, all of us, Kevin J, all of us. Everybody's auditioning.
So,
Yeah.
how in the hell does somebody as good as you, especially with impressions,
I don't know.
and how do they not take advantage of that? Like,
They don't like niggas, goddammit.
You're like
suck my
man,
dick.
you like it's almost like getting 10 for 1 or something, 20 for 1. Like you got all of that. It's just man, let me ask you something. If you were to do comedy in any other era, what would it be and why?
I would do it in the 80s. The 80s would be good. 80s and 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and why?
Because comedy was so, like, I mean, comedy was not new, but it was so refreshing to be yourself and to break barriers. That's what Pryor did. Pryor broke barriers, because Richard Pryor was trying to be Cosby for a while, trying to be clean. And just like Cosby, he was different. He was clean, he was smart, intelligent, good looking, blah, blah. Pryor was like, I want to be like him. But then Pryor said, fuck that. I was raised, my mother was a hoe. My father was a pimp. I grew up around pimps and hustlers in Peoria, Illinois. And then he became the crazy nigga. April 29th, 1971, Live and Smoking. He's at the Improv in New York, finally talking about his drug dealing mama, his hoe, because have you ever seen Live and Smoking?
I'm not sure.
And he's bombing, but it's like, this is the Pryor that he was becoming. This is 1971, April 29, 1971, Live and Smoking. And Richard Pryor's going, yeah, the only time I saw white people was when they came to fuck my mother.
Huh.
Oh, well, it's like this. Is your mother home? I'll check to see. We want to get our dick sucked. Okay, hold on. It was... it was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And that's why the 70s was like, because, you're coming from the 60s and the Vietnam War and free love and, all that, everybody was rebellious. So that would have been cool, experimental type shit to see Richard Pryor saying nigga in front of white audiences going, say, nigga, you suck my dick, goddamn. People were like fucked up with that. And then in 1979,
he was saying some other words too. Like he would say cracker and pickle.
Yeah, he'd be like this. Oh, you act like you ain't never fucked a faggot.
Yeah.
Right? You ain't never fucked no faggot. He was saying this shit and it was mind blowing. And then there was Carlin, George Carlin. Him and Carlin were two kind of dudes. He's a white dude speaking to power. Because Carlin tried to be the hippy dippy weatherman, and him and Pryor used to do TV shows together where they were all safe. Pryor was like, fuck that. George Carlin was like, I can't stand the system.
Yeah.
And that's when all that...
That's when we got the best of both of them guys.
And
man.
George Carlin would be like, Earth Day.
Man, George Carlin, come on, man.
And
damn.
And George Carlin, I saw him live.
Man.
And I'm a Carlinite and I'm a Pryorite.
Oh, yeah.
And George Carlin, I got to see him live.
Comedy, man.
And Carlin... And Carlin became rebellious because he started he grew up in Harlem. And Carlin said it. He said, I stopped hanging around the white guys in Harlem because all they talked about was who they hated. And I would hang out with the Puerto Rican and black guys. That's all I did. I got all my comedy from the Puerto Rican black guys because black people were so much freer and they were accepted. It was weird. They were accepting. They were going through all this shit, but they accepted you if your character was right. So that's why when you watch Carlin, you go, he hung around. You could tell he hung around motherfuckers. Yeah. That's when he said, fuck this. I'm growing my hair out. I'm going to talk that real shit. And Carlin is speaking to white people about themselves.
Yeah.
Earth Day. Fucking Earth Day? You think a bunch of plastic bags are gonna save this planet? Fuck you. You know what I mean? I eat, drink, and sleep Carlin and Pryor and Joan Rivers and Don Rickles and Rodney Dangerfield. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would have loved to, that comedy around that, late 60s, 70s. Ooh, experimentation. Lenny Bruce, who was arrested with George Carlin. I know my comedy history.
Yeah.